The world is on the verge of collapse after monstrous creatures suddenly surfaced from beneath the ground and began massacring everything in their path. Humanity has already lost countless lives, and ordinary weapons are no longer enough to stop the disaster. The only people capable of fighting back are individuals born with supernatural powers. Far away from civilization exists a secret island, hidden from the rest of society. This isolated place functions as a training facility for gifted teenagers who possess abilities beyond human understanding. These students are raised to become humanity's final line of defense against the creatures threatening the planet. Their powers are so overwhelming that one uncontrolled outburst could erase an entire country within seconds. Among the students is a transfer student named Koya, a calm and unreadable boy who rarely speaks more than necessary. During his introduction, he keeps things short and shows no interest in socializing. One arrogant classmate immediately tries to mock him in front of everyone. But the atmosphere changes the moment Koya stares back at him. The pressure in his eyes alone is enough to terrify the boy into silence. Even the other students become uneasy, with one of them whispering that a person with such terrifying eyes must have killed before. Not long after, another transfer student enters the classroom. Her name is Nana, and unlike Koya, she instantly draws attention with her cheerful personality and energetic attitude. Without hesitation, she openly announces her supernatural ability in front of the class. According to her, she can read minds. The revelation immediately shocks everyone because it means none of their thoughts are truly safe around her. After introducing herself, Nana casually takes a seat beside Nakajima, a student constantly ridiculed by his classmates. Unlike everyone else on the island, Nakajima appears to have no supernatural talent whatsoever. Because of this, the other students treat him like dead weight, and constantly question why the academy even accepted someone as weak as him. As the lesson begins, Nana secretly reads the thoughts of the students around her, causing tension to spread throughout the room. Shortly afterward, the teacher starts motivating the class, explaining that they must continue growing stronger in preparation for the war against humanity's enemies. However, before he can finish his speech, Nana suddenly changes the topic by suggesting that they hold an election to choose the class president. The suggestion instantly excites the students, causing nearly everyone to nominate themselves. The only exception is Nakajima, who quietly avoids participating because of his lack of confidence. But to everyone's surprise, Nana suddenly nominates him instead. The classroom immediately erupts with anger and ridicule as the students mock the idea of someone powerless standing above them. Seeing the argument spiral out of control, Koya calmly proposes a different solution. Instead of wasting time arguing, he suggests deciding the class president through combat. According to him, the strongest person should naturally lead the class. Meanwhile, attention shifts toward Moguo Ayajima, a student born into a prestigious and influential family. Because of his wealthy background and status, he entered the academy believing he was superior to everyone else. However, shortly after arriving on the island, his confidence was completely shattered after he suffered a humiliating defeat while trying to flaunt his power. Lost in his own thoughts after everything that happened, Nakajima suddenly finds Nana approaching him. Since it is still her first day on the island, she asks him to show her around the area. While the two spend time together and eat lunch, Nakajima admits that her mind-reading ability sounds unbelievably powerful. Surprisingly, Nana immediately disagrees with him. She explains that her ability is more of a curse than a blessing. According to her, constantly hearing the thoughts of countless people at the same time feels like torture. Hundreds of voices flood her head every second without ever stopping, making it impossible for her to truly rest. As their conversation continues, Nana becomes curious about Nakajima himself. Since everyone considers him talentless, she asks why he was even accepted into the academy. Nakajima quietly reveals that he actually possesses a supernatural ability, but compared to everyone else, he believes his power is worthless and useless. While walking near a cliffside during their conversation, Nana suddenly loses her footing and nearly falls to her death. Fortunately, Nakajima reacts instantly and grabs her before she can plunge off the edge. After calming down, Nana thanks him for saving her life and tells him that someone like him deserves to become the class president. She explains that even if he lacks confidence in himself, he should at least achieve it for the sake of his father because deep inside, he still wants to prove his worth to everyone. Nakajima awkwardly jokes that having a mind reader around must be troublesome since she can easily see through his true feelings. Nana apologizes for accidentally hearing the painful thoughts he keeps hidden from everyone else. Before leaving, she hands him the watch he forgot earlier during lunch. The next day arrives, and all the students gather together for the official match that will decide who becomes class president. Before the fight begins, one participant suddenly withdraws from the competition. The moment the teacher announces the start, the remaining fighters charge at each other without hesitation, unleashing powerful attacks across the battlefield. One of the students lands a direct blow to his opponent's face, instantly enraging him. In response, both fighters activate their supernatural abilities at full power, causing a violent explosion that shakes the surrounding area while the other students watch excitedly from a distance. Eventually, the battle comes to an end, and the winner is immediately surrounded by classmates celebrating his victory. Meanwhile, Koya silently observes the entire situation from afar without saying a single word. However, the defeated student refuses to accept his loss. Consumed by anger, he loses control of his ability and launches a massive attack directly toward the crowd of students. Panic spreads instantly as everyone begins running for safety. But instead of retreating, Nakajima calmly steps forward. Right before the enormous flaming meteor can hit them, he activates his hidden ability and completely stops the attack with ease. At that moment, Nakajima finally reveals the truth. After thanking Nana for returning his watch the previous day, he explains that his real ability is the power to nullify the supernatural talents of others. The revelation leaves the entire class speechless. The boy they constantly mocked for being powerless suddenly becomes the center of attention, and soon afterward, Nakajima is officially chosen as the new class president. Later that evening, during sunset, Nakajima stands beside Nana and honestly admits that he always dreamed of becoming class president, but never believed he was capable of achieving it. He tells her that without her encouragement, he would have never gained the courage to move forward. Hearing this, Nana simply gives him a calm response while quietly listening to his words. Nana calmly tells Nakajima that he never did anything wrong in the first place. She then asks him if his ability works by canceling other powers whenever he makes physical contact with someone. Nakajima confirms her guess and explains that touching a person is necessary for his ability to activate. The moment Nana grabs his hand, she suddenly smiles with relief. For the first time since meeting him, she can no longer hear his thoughts. Nakajima quickly realizes how painful her supposed mind-reading ability must have been, and he begins sympathizing with her even more. But just as the atmosphere becomes peaceful, everything changes instantly. Without warning, Nana suddenly shoves Nakajima straight off the cliff. In a desperate attempt to survive, he manages to catch a tree branch before falling into the abyss below. Hanging there in complete shock, Nakajima finally learns the horrifying truth. Nana never possessed the ability to read minds at all. In reality, she has no supernatural power whatsoever. What makes her truly dangerous is her terrifying intelligence and ability to manipulate people. The reason she was sent to the island is then revealed. The government secretly assigned her a mission to assassinate every gifted student on the island, one after another, because society views the talented not as humanity's protectors, but as the real threat to the future of the world. While staring down at him coldly, Nana tells Nakajima not to resent her. According to her, sacrificing a few lives is necessary if humanity wants true peace. She explains that gifted individuals are nothing more than dangerous monsters pretending to be heroes, and she considers herself the one responsible for dragging those monsters into hell forever. Completely shaken by the betrayal, Nakajima desperately asks how she was able to understand him so perfectly despite never reading his mind. Nana casually reveals that none of it required supernatural powers. She simply analyzed his behavior carefully from the very beginning. She noticed how he always isolated himself from the other students while pretending to read a book he barely paid attention to, which told her he was trying to create a certain image of himself. She also observed the marks and scratches around his neck, allowing her to conclude that he owned a cat. As for the expensive watch he carried, it was clearly too luxurious for an ordinary student, making it obvious that his father had likely purchased it for him. However, the fact that he carelessly left it behind showed that he probably did not value the gift very much, suggesting a strained relationship between him and his father. After exposing every detail about him, Nana quietly says her farewell. Moments later, Nakajima loses his grip and disappears into the darkness below. To explain how the world reached this point, the story shifts 50 years into the past. Back then, when humanity first encountered its so-called enemy, people believed the threat was either a terrifying species that emerged from underground or possibly aliens that arrived to wipe out mankind entirely. But the truth behind humanity's greatest enemy was far more terrifying than anyone expected. The threat was never monsters or aliens at all. It was actually a normal human who suddenly awakened supernatural powers. After that incident, gifted children started appearing across the world, one after another. As more people gained extraordinary abilities, many of them began viewing themselves as superior to ordinary humans. Before long, crimes, massacres, and large-scale disasters caused by the gifted started spreading throughout society. In response to the growing chaos, governments across the world united to create a special organization composed of talented individuals. Their goal was to control the gifted and maintain peace. However, the plan completely backfired. Instead of restoring order, the situation became even worse after many gifted people discovered that scientists were secretly using them as test subjects for experiments. Fueled by anger and fear, the gifted eventually rebelled against humanity itself. What followed was 5 years of brutal war that covered the world in bloodshed. Countless innocent people lost their lives before humanity finally managed to suppress the uprising and claim victory. This is where the organization connected to Nana finally comes into the picture. Although the academy on the isolated island appears to be a school designed to train gifted students, its real purpose is something far darker. The island was actually created as a giant prison. Instead of helping the students improve their powers, the organization's true mission is to quietly eliminate them before their abilities evolve into an uncontrollable threat. Back in the present timeline, one of the students eventually asks Nana if she has seen Nakajima anywhere since he mysteriously disappeared. Without showing the slightest hesitation, Nana simply claims she knows nothing about it. Meanwhile, the students continue their daily training as if nothing happened. During one exercise, Sai casually places his hand on the surface of a lake, instantly freezing the entire body of water within seconds. Shortly afterward, he begins arguing with the rival student he constantly clashes with. Watching the scene unfold leaves Nana deeply unsettled. From her perspective, abilities like Sai's are terrifying beyond measure. To her, giving such destructive power to unstable teenagers is no different from handing weapons of mass destruction to children. To Nana, allowing children to possess abilities capable of destroying entire cities is no different from placing nuclear weapons into the hands of unstable kids. Once the training session finishes, Nana quietly approaches Sai and starts talking to him while secretly trying to gather information about his ability. As the conversation continues, she quickly notices inconsistencies in his explanations. According to Sai, he can freeze anything instantly with a single touch. But Nana realizes that cannot be entirely true. If his power really worked that perfectly, he could have frozen Iajima immediately during the earlier battle instead of dragging the fight out into chaos. Meanwhile, Sai continues acting like a bully, constantly targeting students weaker than himself. Just as another argument is about to break out, a different student suddenly steps in and stops him. This student points out how strange it is that Nakajima, the newly elected class president, has been missing the entire day. Hearing this instantly puts Nana on edge because even the teacher had already started asking questions about Nakajima's whereabouts. The student who intervened is Shibusawa, commonly called Shibu. His supernatural ability allows him to manipulate time itself. The moment he tells Iajima to calm down, Ijima immediately obeys without resistance, because everyone in the academy considers Shibu the strongest student on the island. Later, during lunch break, Nana decides to approach Shibu directly. Since she plans to eliminate him eventually, she first wants to fully understand how his power works. To test him, she deliberately drops a cup of water beside him while pretending it was accidental. In the next instant, the cup suddenly returns to its original position, as though it had never fallen at all. Shibu casually tells her not to misunderstand his ability because he cannot stop time. Nana accuses him of hiding the truth, and after a brief pause, he admits she is right. His actual power allows him to travel backward through time and alter events that already happened. The moment Nana hears that explanation, alarm bells immediately start ringing in her head. Someone capable of changing the past is far more dangerous than anyone else on the island. If Shibu investigates properly, he could easily uncover the truth behind Nakajima's disappearance and discover that she was responsible for his death. Before Nana can process everything, Koya suddenly joins the conversation and suggests using Shibu's ability to investigate the situation. He explains that his room is located right beside Nakajima's dormitory, so if Nakajima had returned during the night, he definitely would have noticed. Koya even mentions that he knocked on Nakajima's door that morning and received no response at all, meaning Nakajima most likely never came back to the dorms. Koya then calmly points out that Nana was the last person seen together with Nakajima the previous day. Before he can question her further, Nana quickly interrupts and claims she merely congratulated him after he became class president, before heading back alone. At this point, Nana is no longer simply worried. She is genuinely terrified. The more Koya talks, the more she begins suspecting that his true talent may not be combat-related at all. Instead, she starts believing his real ability could be deduction and investigation itself. Desperate to shift the conversation away from herself, Nana suddenly accuses Koya of giving off a strange feeling and jokingly wonders whether he could secretly be one of humanity's enemies. Rather than reacting emotionally, Koya simply responds with an unsettling smile before quietly walking away. Still curious about what happened to Nakajima, Shibu volunteers to help Nana investigate further. Together they head toward the dormitory building. After activating his time ability and examining the previous night's events, Shibu confirms that Koya's theory was correct. Nakajima never returned to his room at all. After using his time ability multiple times, Shibu begins showing clear signs of exhaustion. His body becomes weak, and even standing starts taking effort. Seeing this, Nana casually asks him how far into the past he is capable of traveling. Shibu explains that his limit is only 1 day. Hearing that answer immediately puts Nana under even more pressure. She realizes that eliminating someone like Shibu would be incredibly dangerous because he could simply travel back in time and uncover everything she had done. Despite his exhaustion, Shibu activates his ability once again and returns to the previous day to continue investigating Nakajima's disappearance. When he comes back, he asks Nana once more if they had really been together near the beach that evening. Without hesitation, Nana repeats the exact same explanation she gave before. However, this time Shibu notices something strange hidden in her words. Earlier, she mentioned that she hurried away because someone had seen her there. Curious about this detail, Shibu immediately asks who exactly witnessed her. Nana then calmly explains something important about his own ability. According to her, if a person in the past directly notices him while he is traveling through time and recognizes his presence, the ability becomes unstable and forces him to return immediately. By now, Shibu is reaching his physical limit. His face looks pale and he can barely keep himself standing after repeatedly using his power. Nana suggests ending the investigation for the day and continuing tomorrow instead. But instead of agreeing, Shibu starts becoming suspicious of her behavior. The more he thinks about it, the stranger Nana seems. Despite Nakajima disappearing without a trace, she does not appear genuinely worried at all. This causes Shibu to question whether something happened between the two of them that she is desperately trying to hide from him. With no other choice left, Nana agrees to return with him to the same cliffside area once again. Shibu activates his ability and travels back to the previous day one final time. However, only moments later, he suddenly returns. The reason is simple. During his trip to the past, Nana from that timeline had already looked directly at him and unintentionally interrupted his ability, exactly as present-day Nana predicted earlier. For Shibu, this becomes convincing proof that Nana could not possibly be lying. After all, there would have been no way for her to predict that outcome, unless she was truly innocent. Late that night, Nana leads Shibu deep into the forest to continue their investigation. Once they arrive near the lake, she tells him that this was supposedly the exact place where Nakajima encountered one of humanity's enemies and was brutally killed. Pretending to break down in tears, Nana claims she witnessed everything happen with her own eyes, but was too terrified to step in and save him. While acting devastated by guilt, she desperately begs Shibu to use his time ability and rescue Nakajima before it is too late. Wanting to help without suspecting anything, Shibu immediately agrees to do it. But from the very beginning, Nana had already planned everything perfectly. The lake beside them is directly connected to the same frozen area Sai created earlier that day. Nana already predicted what would happen next. Once Shibu traveled back to the past and eventually returned to the present, the ice would naturally no longer exist because Sai had not frozen the lake yet during that point in time. That means the moment Shibu reappears, he would materialize directly inside deep water. Exhausted from repeatedly using his ability, he would not have enough strength left to swim back up or hold his breath long enough to survive. It was a flawless murder plan designed down to the smallest detail. At the same time, Koya quietly returns to the cliff where Nakajima disappeared. While searching the area, he notices something reflecting light far below the cliffside. Curious, he carefully climbs downward to investigate what it might be. The following day at school, panic slowly begins spreading among the students after they realize Shibu has also vanished without a trace. Since 2 students have now disappeared consecutively, everyone starts becoming increasingly anxious. Meanwhile, Nana reminds herself that no matter what happens, she cannot allow anyone to suspect her involvement. Suddenly, Sai approaches her and asks her to prove her mind-reading ability. He challenges Nana to tell him exactly what he is thinking about at that moment. Without hesitation, Nana confidently claims that he likes the girl standing nearby. Before the conversation can continue further, Koya suddenly appears completely drenched from the rain. He calmly explains that Nana did not need mind reading to figure that out at all. According to him, the right side of the girl's clothes is wet, while the left side of Sai's body is soaked, meaning the two of them were obviously sharing the same umbrella. Earlier, hearing such a simple yet terrifying deduction leaves Nana completely stunned. The more Koya speaks, the more dangerous he seems in her eyes. Later on, Nana secretly follows him out of curiosity and discovers him quietly feeding a stray cat outside despite the freezing rain and harsh weather. After watching him from a distance for some time, she finally decides to approach him directly and start a conversation. During their talk, Koya casually suggests that the two of them should become friends. Even though Nana remains cautious around him, she accepts his offer because getting closer to Koya may help her uncover the truth about him before he becomes an even greater threat. After that, Koya casually turns on a gaming console and invites Nana to play with him. While the two spend time together, he quickly notices that she remains uncomfortable around him and clearly does not trust him in the slightest. With a joking tone, Koya says that he is actually a friendly guy who even smells nice, so he honestly cannot understand why people always seem nervous around him. Nana immediately responds without holding back. She bluntly tells him that he gives off a terrifying atmosphere and asks whether he has seriously never noticed the uneasy expressions people make whenever they talk to him. Rather than getting offended, Koya calmly pulls out a notebook and starts writing down her comments, saying he should probably work on improving himself socially. Even while talking casually with him, Nana cannot stop wondering why he is so deeply invested in investigating Nakajima's disappearance. Koya eventually explains the reason. Before he arrived on the island, his younger sister had also been sent there. However, not long afterward, she mysteriously vanished without a trace. Since then, he has been searching for answers, believing that solving Nakajima's case could lead him closer to discovering what happened to his sister. Just as Nana prepares to leave, Koya suddenly takes out a wristwatch and asks if she recognizes it. The instant Nana sees the watch, fear flashes across her face. It belongs to Nakajima. Trying to remain calm, she immediately asks where he found it. Koya then guides her back to the cliffside area where he discovered the watch earlier and begins carefully piecing together the situation like a detective solving a case. He explains that everyone arrived on the island on the 12th, meaning Nakajima disappeared during the night of the 13th, shortly after becoming class president. Nana repeats her previous story once again, insisting that she only congratulated him before leaving him alone afterward. Koya first considers whether Nakajima may have taken his own life, but after thinking about it carefully, he dismisses the possibility almost immediately. He then explores another theory involving humanity's enemies attacking Nakajima, but he rejects that explanation as well, because the area contained no blood, signs of resistance, or evidence of a struggle. According to Koya, the watch was most likely left behind intentionally as a message or clue. But his next conclusion is what truly shocks Nana. Koya reveals that nobody has ever actually seen the so-called enemies of humanity with their own eyes. Because of that, he believes the stories surrounding them may simply be propaganda created by the government for reasons nobody understands yet. Watching him arrive at such terrifying conclusions using almost no evidence deeply unsettles Nana. She realizes more clearly than ever that she cannot afford to leave behind even the smallest clue. More importantly, Koya himself has now become the greatest obstacle standing in her way. In Nana's mind, eliminating him quickly is becoming absolutely necessary. Koya eventually suggests that they should report their findings directly to the school staff. Nana agrees, but first decides to ask him about his own supernatural ability. Koya immediately turns the question back on her. Since she claims to possess mind-reading powers, he points out that she should already know the answer if her ability is genuine. For a brief moment, complete silence fills the air. After staring at her for a while, Koya calmly smiles and tells her that he is not suspecting her of anything at all. Later, the two of them report the situation to the teacher. However, the teacher's terrified reaction upon hearing their conclusions instantly catches Kyoya's attention. At that moment, he realizes something disturbing. The students are clearly being lied to, and the school is hiding an important secret from all of them. The teacher instantly realizes how dangerous the situation has become. If the students ever uncover the truth behind the island and the so-called enemies of humanity, everything could collapse. Without wasting a second, he grabs the phone and urgently contacts the higher authorities, warning them that the discussion he just had with Koya and Nana must remain absolutely confidential. Meanwhile, back inside her room, Nana begins thinking through everything with incredible precision. She recalls the instructions the organization gave her before sending her to the island. Their warning was clear. Before attempting to eliminate any gifted student, she must first understand the full nature of their ability. Now that she has spent enough time observing the students, Nana finally understands how terrifying their powers truly are. Even so, she also notices an important detail. No matter how dangerous an ability may seem, every single one still possesses weaknesses and limitations. Her thoughts soon shift toward Koya. Out of everyone on the island, he is the one she understands the least. Since she still has no idea what his real power is, Nana decides to lure him into a carefully planned trap in order to force him to reveal it. Later on, she casually brings up the fact that Nakajima used to feed stray cats around the island. She mentions that now that he is gone, those cats probably have nobody left to care for them anymore. The moment Koya hears this, he immediately remembers the cat Nakajima often visited. Not long afterward, he buys some milk and quietly heads out alone. As he walks, he starts reflecting on everything happening around him. The more he thinks about the academy, the stranger it feels. According to the school, the students were sent there to prepare for war against humanity's enemies. Yet despite that claim, they spend most of their time doing meaningless training exercises. Even worse, the students continue behaving carelessly despite supposedly being hunted by enemies capable of infiltrating the island and killing people without warning. Koya clenches his fist in frustration and swears that if he ever finds the ones responsible, he will never forgive them. A few moments later, while heating the milk over a small fire, a sudden explosion erupts violently around him. The blast completely consumes the area. Almost immediately afterward, Nana rushes toward the scene. Since she was the one who secretly prepared the trap beforehand, she intentionally acts shocked and panicked upon arriving. Pretending to help, she claims she will quickly go find a fire extinguisher. But just before she leaves, Koya suddenly speaks. To Nana's horror, he survived. Still standing inside the burning wreckage, Koya calmly asks why she was the very first person to appear after the explosion. Before she can respond, he casually answers the question himself, suggesting that she probably heard the blast nearby and came running to investigate. Even so, he admits the situation feels strangely suspicious. Earlier that same day, they discussed Nakajima feeding stray cats, and now an explosion suddenly occurs while he was on his way to feed one himself. As Koya continues speaking, Nana witnesses something absolutely unbelievable. The wounds covering his body begin healing before her eyes. Burned flesh regenerates rapidly, damaged skin restores itself instantly, and within moments, Kyoya's body completely returns to normal, as though the explosion never happened at all. Seeing this leaves Nana utterly stunned. Koya casually says that he could probably accept all the strange coincidences happening around him, but what truly interests him is Nana's reaction. He asks why she looked so shocked earlier and wonders if she failed to read his thoughts, and discover that his real ability is immortality. Since the two of them are supposedly becoming friends, Koya decides to share another personal secret with her. He reveals that he completely lacks a sense of smell. However, according to him, this condition has nothing to do with his supernatural ability because he was born that way naturally. After warning Nana not to mention it to anyone else, he simply walks away as if nothing unusual happened, leaving her standing there in total disbelief. The next day, Tension among the students rises even further, with Nakajima disappearing, Shibu vanishing shortly afterward, and the mysterious explosion during the night. Everyone begins suspecting that something extremely dangerous is happening on the island. Nakajima openly confronts Koya and points out that strange incidents have continued occurring non-stop ever since he arrived at the academy, making it difficult to believe all of it is merely coincidence. Koya calmly denies any involvement and once again blames everything on the so-called enemies of humanity. Meanwhile, Nana quietly thinks to herself that Koya repeats that same explanation over and over like a broken machine. Still, regardless of how annoying he may be, she understands one important thing clearly. Koya is the greatest threat standing in the way of her mission. Because of that, Nana concludes that she must either stay far away from him or uncover a weakness capable of bringing him down before he exposes her first. Right then, the atmosphere in class suddenly changes when two girls excitedly reveal that someone secretly confessed their feelings to Michiru through a letter. According to the note, the sender has loved her for more than a year and wants to meet her after school. The unexpected confession immediately embarrasses Michiru, turning her completely red. While talking with Nana afterward, Michiru notices an injury on Nana's leg caused earlier when Koya grabbed her too forcefully. Without hesitation, Michiru kneels down and gently licks the wound. To Nana's complete shock, the injury heals instantly. That is the true nature of Michiru's ability. However, her power comes with a terrible cost. Every single time she uses her healing ability, her own lifespan becomes shorter. Later on, Nana enters the bathroom alone and secretly checks her phone. A message from the organization suddenly appears on the screen, containing classified information about Michiru. According to the report, Michiru is connected to a future death count estimated at over 150,000 victims. Her predicted danger level and criminal potential are considered extremely high. The organization's recommended solution is simple: execution. Nana starts suspecting that someone is secretly manipulating her from the shadows. After leaving the bathroom, she finds Koya waiting outside for her. He casually asks if something is wrong, but Nana notices that he seems to be constantly watching her. Still, she pretends not to care and heads toward Michiru. Nana tells Michiru that nobody is coming to meet her because the two girls pretending to be her friends were only making fun of her with a fake love confession letter. Nana figured this out after memorizing their handwriting. Michiru starts crying, but Nana comforts her and says that this settles the debt she owed her. Afterward, the two spend the day together peacefully while eating and enjoying each other's company. Later that night, Nana returns to her room and analyzes Michiru's ability. Since Michiru can heal any injury no matter how serious it is, the only way to kill her would be through a wound somewhere she cannot reach herself, such as her back. Nana grabs her weapon and prepares to carry out the murder. However, Koya suddenly appears and stops her. He asks where she is going so late at night. Nana quickly asks him what he is doing there in the first place. Koya claims that he was worried something bad might happen to her. Trying to escape, Nana suddenly turns up the music volume extremely high. Koya immediately becomes suspicious because the sound is far louder than necessary. He quickly realizes that she is using the loud music to cover the noise while escaping through the window. His deduction turns out to be correct. Nana arrives at Michiru's room while pointing her weapon at her. Suddenly, a loud scream shakes the entire area. Koya rushes toward the scene while analyzing everything in his mind. He notices that the so-called enemies of humanity seem strangely attracted to Michiru. He also realizes that Nana used the exact same method she used with Nakajima when approaching Michiru. At that moment, Koya begins considering a terrifying possibility. If there are no actual monsters at all, then Nana herself may be the true danger. However, the moment he enters the room, all of his theories collapse instantly. Nana is lying on the floor covered in blood, while Michiru desperately tries to heal her. Koya immediately asks what happened. Nana explains that while she was in her room, she heard the terrifying sound of a monster coming from Michiru's direction. She rushed over to help, but this was the result. When Koya asks what the creature looked like, Nana claims that she could not see it clearly because it was invisible. Koya silently questions whether he is overthinking everything. Meanwhile, Nana secretly laughs to herself. She simply took advantage of the rumors about the enemies of humanity and stabbed herself on purpose. By doing this, she knows the students will begin trusting her completely, allowing her to become class president and manipulate everyone like puppets. The following morning, Koya still refuses to give up. He asks Nana why she never called him for help, and questions why the invisible enemy escaped instead of killing all of them. Nana gives him no answer at all while secretly laughing inside. To her, it is impossible for anyone to imagine that she stabbed herself deliberately. Her plan succeeds perfectly, and she officially becomes the new class president. Nana then orders the innocent Michiru to gather detailed information about every student and deliver the reports to her by morning. Standing proudly in front of the school, Nana quietly declares that all of them are now completely under her control. Later, Nana heads into the forest and gathers several poisonous herbs before grinding them together. She plans to use the poison against Koya, since physical attacks are completely useless against his immortality. Meanwhile, Koya casually plays games while thinking through the entire situation. He realizes that even if he told the other students that their new leader is a serial killer, nobody would ever believe him. As Nana enters the student dormitory feeling extremely confident, another student suddenly approaches her and asks why she is going to kill him. This student possesses the ability to see the future through photographs. He explains that he can take pictures from the present that reveal future events. He then shows Nana a photograph proving that she will kill him the following night at 10 p.m. inside the storage room. Nana becomes confused and asks why she would even go there in the first place. To prove that the future cannot be changed, the boy takes her to a restaurant and shows her a future photo where a plate of pasta spills directly onto her face. Nana immediately changes her order to avoid the situation, but moments later she accidentally trips, causing the pasta to spill onto her anyway. According to him, the future cannot be avoided no matter what anyone does. At that moment, the boy shows Nana a photograph of her pushing Nakajima off the cliff and asks her to explain why she did it. Nana becomes completely shaken. Every time she tries to complete a mission, someone keeps getting in her way. However, she quickly calms herself and asks him not to show the photographs to the other students so they will not become frightened. The boy immediately questions her, asking if she seriously expects him to believe that she actually cares about the students. He reveals that he has been watching her ever since she first stepped onto the island. He spreads the photographs out in front of her, proving that there are no monsters visible anywhere. He then directly calls her a serial killer and tells her that if she does not want him exposing everything, she must become his servant. Forced into the situation, Nana agrees. While giving him a massage, she secretly tries to kill him by targeting the deadly pressure points in his body. However, no matter what she does, the future refuses to change before 10 p.m. Since it is already late, Nana says she will return the next day, but the boy refuses to let her leave. He tells her that she is not going anywhere until he wakes up, meaning she will have to stand there all night. While he sleeps, Nana notices that he is holding the camera capable of producing future photographs. She secretly steals one of the pictures and becomes instantly horrified by what she sees. Immediately, she hides the photograph from him while thinking that she cannot allow that future to happen. Nana then examines the camera carefully, only to realize that it is actually just an ordinary camera. When she returns, the boy casually asks her a few questions before suddenly appearing behind her in a terrifying way. He explains that every morning he normally finds 5 future photographs beside him, but this time there were only 4. He immediately realizes that Nana stole the missing one. The boy then pulls the hidden photograph out from her belongings. The image clearly shows Nana dying. Despite everything, he still insists that the future cannot be changed. He tells Nana that he will be waiting for her in the storage room at exactly 10 p.m. According to him, if he does not die there, then she is truly the killer shown in the photos. Nana calmly accepts. While the boy goes to take a shower, Nana notices his wristwatch and secretly changes the time on it. At the promised hour, Nana waits inside the storage room while carrying poisoned needles. The moment the boy enters, one of the needles accidentally slips from her hand. After recovering from the mistake, she asks him if he truly believed she would wait until exactly 10 p.m. to kill him. Nana reveals that she secretly altered the time on his watch. She then attacks him exactly the same way shown in the photograph, but technically the real time has still not reached 10 p.m. yet. However, the boy suddenly fights back, throws her onto the ground, and reveals that he already discovered she tampered with his watch. He explains that he had secretly changed it again afterward. The boy admits that he still does not understand why she wants to kill him, but declares that this is finally the end for the serial killer. At least, that is what he hoped. Suddenly, the poison Nana prepared finally takes effect. While pretending to struggle earlier, she secretly stabbed him with a poison needle without him noticing. The boy becomes confused because the photograph he saw clearly showed Nana dying instead of him. Nana explains that she only spent time in his room the previous night to figure out how to lure him into the trap. Since he could see the future, she intentionally avoided doing anything suspicious that might make him doubt her. As for the photograph showing her death, Nana reveals that she secretly created it herself during the night in order to trick him. She then shows him the real future photograph instead. The boy collapses. The third target has officially been eliminated. Immediately afterward, Nana hides the real photograph because Koya suddenly arrives together with Michiru. Koya demands an explanation for what is happening. With every step he takes toward her, Nana becomes more nervous, but she quickly regains control of herself and claims that the boy's condition is extremely dangerous. She urgently tells Michiru to help save him. While Michiru kneels beside the victim, Nana desperately thinks about how to deal with the disaster standing right beside her, referring to Koya. Koya explains that he and Michiru noticed Nana's disappearance and started searching for her. They eventually found her location because another student had been spreading rumors that Nana had fallen in love with the boy. Koya then notices the photograph showing Nana's death and asks about its meaning. By carefully analyzing Nana's reaction and tone of voice, Koya immediately realizes that there must be another hidden photograph she does not want him to see. Nana quickly lies and claims that the hidden pictures were photographs of the enemies of humanity. Koya continues explaining that besides the photographs of the enemies of humanity, the victim also had pictures of Nana while she was bathing, which is probably why she killed him. Michiru immediately objects and points out that the corpse has no visible wounds at all. According to her, this means he either died from a chronic illness or from poison. Nana instantly takes advantage of the situation and claims that the enemies of humanity were the ones who killed him. As the situation becomes more complicated, Nana offers to examine the body herself before leaving the others behind and returning to the victim's room to retrieve the remaining hidden photographs. Suddenly, Koya appears behind her and asks what she is doing there. Without hesitation, Nana quickly replies that she only came back to collect the rest of her belongings. She then asks him the same question. Koya explains that since the victim was supposedly sick, he came to search for medicine inside the room. Nana reminds him that they already agreed the enemies of humanity were responsible, but Koya immediately rejects the idea. He points out that the photograph clearly shows Nana dying instead of the victim. He also remembers that the boy constantly repeated that the future could never change. Because of that, Koya reasons that if the victim himself were the one destined to die, he would never willingly walk toward his own death. This leads Koya to suspect that the photograph showing Nana's death was fake and not created by the victim's ability at all. Nana becomes shocked and asks what made him think that. Koya calmly explains that in the photograph, the victim had 2 ropes tied around his neck instead of 1. This means there was no resistance during the attack. He also points out that there are no marks on Nana's neck that would normally appear if she had struggled. Nana dismisses everything he says as meaningless speculation, with no connection to reality. Koya admits that she may be right and hands her the photograph back, but he continues thinking deeply to himself. If the victim truly created the picture with his ability, then Nana must have fabricated the fake death image herself in order to lure him into the storage room and kill him. Koya regrets not arriving earlier because seeing all the photographs personally would have allowed him to confirm whether his theory was correct. After leaving him behind, Nana returns to her room only to discover something horrifying. 1 photograph is missing. She immediately realizes that Michiru secretly took it. Nana quickly rushes toward her, but she is already too late. Michiru is staring directly at the missing photograph when Nana suddenly arrives with a forced smile. Nana calmly tells her that she seems to have seen something she should not have seen. Michiru still does not fully understand the meaning of the photograph, but Nana silently realizes that if Michiru tries to keep it, she will eventually have to eliminate her too. Nana then gives Michiru a choice. If she hands over the photograph, Nana may consider delaying her death. Completely confused, Michiru hands over the picture and asks Nana to explain its meaning. Nana tells her that the boy always claimed the future could never change, yet she is obviously still alive. Therefore, some future events must simply fail to happen sometimes. She also explains that the photographs were supposedly created through dreams, making them unreliable evidence in the first place. Michiru immediately agrees with Nana's explanation. Using her manipulative intelligence once again, Nana successfully deceives her. Later, the students hold a funeral for the dead boy. During the ceremony, Koya asks the teacher whether they are seriously not going to contact the police despite all the incidents happening on the island. The teacher coldly responds that even if they contacted the authorities, there would be nothing they could do. According to him, the students would require an entire army to stop them. Koya becomes frustrated by the extreme negligence. To him, the island is starting to feel like a place ruled only by the law of the jungle. Koya then addresses the students directly and points out something strange about the victim's death. According to Nana, the enemies of humanity were responsible, but Koya openly admits that he does not believe that explanation at all. Because of this, he demands that the corpse be autopsied. Naturally, Nana is the first person to object. She argues that performing an autopsy would only spread fear among the students. However, Koya refuses to abandon the idea, no matter how much she argues against it. Nana then asks to speak with him privately. She takes him deep into the forest and tells him that he looks mentally exhausted from everything that has happened recently. According to her, his emotions are starting to control his judgment. Koya calmly replies that he understands exactly what she is trying to imply, but he also finds it strange that she seems to know what he is thinking. Nana realizes that he completely fell for the bait. She immediately throws every incident directly at him, from the explosion to Nakajima's death, and finally the latest murder. She even reminds him that she herself was injured during those events. Nana then suggests that perhaps the real killer has actually been targeting Koya all along. Those words immediately make Koya question many things and start reorganizing his thoughts. At the same time, Nana desperately tries to stop him from performing the autopsy because discovering poison inside the victim's body would expose everything. She quickly begins carrying out another plan, but Koya's intelligence is on another level. Soon afterward, the students themselves begin telling Koya that there is no point in continuing with the autopsy because none of them are medical experts anyway. However, the moment Koya reaches toward the grave, something shocking suddenly happens. The dead boy rises from the grave surrounded by a strange aura. Another student then walks forward and calmly says that there is no need to perform an autopsy because they can simply ask the victim directly what happened. This student introduces himself as Shinji. His ability is necromancy. Judging from Nana's expression alone, it becomes obvious that the situation has suddenly become far more dangerous for her. Nana manages to escape from the situation effortlessly by pretending that she heard the victim's inner voice suffering. She claims that respecting the dead means burying them peacefully instead of disturbing the corpse. The next day, Nana begins organizing her thoughts. Since Yuka appears very close to Shinji, Nana approaches her and asks about him after noticing that he is absent from class. Yuka explains that Shinji is a very gloomy person who dislikes interacting with others. According to her, he is either sleeping somewhere or isolating himself alone in the forest. Nana immediately realizes that Yuka is extremely close to Shinji, meaning she will also need to die sooner or later. She secretly starts watching the two of them and discovers that they are actually in love. Before she can make her move, Koya suddenly appears in front of her like perfect timing itself. He explains that if he were the killer, the very first person he would eliminate is Shinji because his necromancy ability could create enormous problem. Shinji suddenly appears beside them and sarcastically asks whether they are not afraid that the killer might attack them while they are sitting outside so casually. Koya responds coldly, but Shinji jokingly says that since his ability is necromancy, while Kyoya's ability is immortality, he wonders how useful Kyoya's corpse would become after death. Koya calmly reminds him that immortality means he cannot die in the first place. After a strange conversation between the two, Shinji eventually leaves. Nana then notices that Yuka is injured and asks about the wound. Yuka explains that despite Shinji's frightening appearance, he is actually very kind. She reveals that the injury happened 5 years ago during a movie theater fire. She broke through a wall and saved him. which is how she discovered her own ability of superhuman physical strength. Yuka then becomes unusually clingy toward Nana, making Nana pretend that she feels sick just to escape from her. However, during the conversation, Nana already learned where Shinji's room is located. Since Koya is no longer watching her closely, she realizes this is the perfect opportunity. Nana secretly reaches Shinji's room, injects poison into him, and leaves without anyone noticing. Meanwhile, Koya starts searching for Nana and eventually arrives at the infirmary, only to discover that she is not there. Before he can think too deeply about it, Nana suddenly appears and asks for his help rescuing a cat whose cries she heard nearby. Yuka joins them as well, and Nana asks her to use her superhuman strength to rescue the trapped cat. Surprisingly, Yuka claims that she cannot use her ability at the moment. Koya quickly solves the problem himself by luring the cat out with a can of tuna. Later that night, Nana quietly sneaks toward her room. Just as she is about to relax and celebrate her successful plan, someone suddenly smashes her head against the floor. To her complete shock, Shinji is still alive. Nana's mind immediately starts working like a computer as she realizes the horrifying truth. Shinji actually died 5 years ago. This means Yuka is the true owner of the necromancy ability. Yuka admits that the story she told the previous night was completely fabricated in order to deceive Nana, the hired killer and enemy of humanity. She grabs the poison needles and asks Nana whether she should kill her immediately or torture her first. Yuka then reveals another shocking detail. When she resurrected the dead victim earlier, she learned everything directly from him, including the truth that Nana killed him. The strange part is that Nana openly admits it. She calmly confesses that she killed not only him, but also Nakajima and Shibu. However, Nana argues that even if she is a killer, at least she allows the dead to rest peacefully. According to her, Yuka is far worse because she manipulates dead bodies and invades their memories for information. Yuka becomes furious and warns Nana not to provoke her or she will expose all her crimes to the students. Nana immediately responds that nobody would believe her anyway, because Nana is the class president. However, if Yuka reveals the truth, everyone will also discover her secret ability as a necromancer. Yuka then reminds Nana that the poisoned needles still contain her fingerprints, making them perfect evidence against her. This finally makes Nana nervous because if those needles fall into Koya's hands, everything will be over. Yuka continues pressuring her by saying that she can even summon Shinji's corpse to confirm every accusation she makes. Nana calmly responds that people do not believe what they are told. People only believe what they personally see. She then proposes a deal. Nana asks Yuka to release her, and in exchange, she promises never to reveal Yuka's necromancy ability to anyone else. Nana calmly tells Yuka that the one under control here is not herself, but Yuka. Yuka eventually agrees to release her after Nana promises to reveal what Shinji supposedly wants to tell her from the bottom of his heart. Without hesitation, Yuka frees Nana because she still believes Nana possesses the ability to read minds. Just as Yuka prepares to chase after her, Shinji suddenly stops her. He reminds Yuka that since she is a necromancer, killing Nana would allow her to discover all of Yuka's thoughts and secrets. Since those words are coming from the corpse of the person she loves, Yuka immediately believes them. Meanwhile, Nana escapes while thinking carefully. She realizes that she could easily eliminate Yuka herself, but the real problem is Shinji. However, Nana notices something strange. The necklace Yuka wears looks exactly like the one the future-seeing boy used to wear. This makes her wonder if there is some hidden connection between them. Nana eventually lures both Yuka and Shinji into the location she prepared beforehand. She then points toward the bottle Yuka carries and asks whether it contains the remains required for necromancy. Yuka explains that necromancers must always keep a part of the corpse with them in order to control the dead. Nana immediately understands. While everyone was distracted earlier, Yuka secretly took a piece of the dead boy's body and used it to control him. Nana then asks what would happen if the remains were taken away from her. Yuka confidently tells her to try it herself. The moment Nana grabs the bottle, Shinji instantly stops moving like a lifeless wall. Nana immediately begins running away, while Yuka controls Shinji and chases after her. Nana realizes that if she continues terrifying Yuka inside the dark forest, Yuka will eventually lose every advantage she has. Still, something feels strange to Nana. She intentionally left clues behind during her escape, yet Yuka keeps finding her location far too easily. At that moment, Another corpse suddenly appears before her, almost driving her insane from shock. Yuka explains that the island itself is extremely strange. While investigating the memories of the corpses hidden around the island, she discovered that all of them were killed in horrifying ways. Some of the corpses belonged to students while others were teachers. The corpse standing before Nana possesses night vision. This revelation leads Nana to a terrifying conclusion. The island was actually created as a battlefield between people with supernatural abilities. Yuka then invites Nana to continue their deadly game of hide-and-seek. Nana becomes completely overwhelmed as she slowly realizes that the organization may have lied to her from the very beginning. Desperate to escape, Nana eventually finds a cabin hidden inside the forest and hides inside it. The lock is broken, meaning the cabin can only be secured from the inside. While resting, Nana desperately tries analyzing the abilities of the students around her, but she cannot reach any useful conclusion. Grinding her teeth in frustration, she refuses to accept the idea of surrendering to people with supernatural powers. At the same time, she realizes an important weakness in Yuka's ability. Yuka's necromancy works best in complete darkness, meaning once the sun rises, Yuka will basically become powerless. Nana creates a distraction and hides successfully. Yuka praises her strategy, but reminds Nana that she still has 2 corpses trapped inside the cabin with her. Nana manages to survive until sunrise, and her prediction turns out to be completely correct. The corpses collapse onto the ground and stop moving entirely. Yuka admits that Nana is far more impressive than she expected. However, Yuka also realizes that Nana is probably expecting a trap because of her injury. Instead of entering the cabin directly, Yuka locks the door from the outside, carries Shinji away, and promises to return the following night. At this point, Nana is ready to explode from anger. Meanwhile, Yuka returns to school, where Koya immediately starts asking about Nana's whereabouts. However, Yuka's answers fail to satisfy him at all. Back inside the cabin, Nana notices something extremely strange. Her hands are still tied, yet when Yuka returns later that night, Nana is nowhere to be found. The door remains intact, and the windows are not broken either. Completely confused, Yuka cannot understand how Nana possibly escaped. She becomes so frustrated that she even tries breaking the door herself but still fails. Yuka realizes that Nana must still be somewhere inside the cabin and calls out her name. Shinji lifts his head toward the hiding place, but the shocking truth is immediately revealed. The corpse inside the cabin is not Nana at all. Yuka quickly sends the corpses searching everywhere for her, but they fail to find any trace of her. As sunset arrives, Yuka heads back toward her room while thinking that she absolutely must kill Nana because Nana already tried to kill her once before. Suddenly, Nana appears behind her, throws her onto the ground, and pulls out an object from her pocket. Nana asks whether the object belongs to Shinji. Yuka immediately denies it and explains that the real source of her control over Shinji is the bottle containing part of his remains. Nana then asks why, during their battle in the forest, Yuka protected her pocket instead of the necklace. Yuka refuses to answer and simply tells Nana to follow her if she wants the truth. Without another word, Yuka leads Nana back toward the cursed location. Before killing her, Nana asks one final question. She wants to know how Yuka managed to trap her inside the cabin earlier. Yuka assumes Nana must have broken the door and secretly repaired it afterward, but Nana immediately explains the truth. Because Yuka was foolish, she failed to notice that Nana had secretly removed the lock's screws and covered the damage with tape. The moment the door closed, Yuka believed the cabin was sealed, but in reality, Nana could simply push the door open and escape anytime she wanted. Yuka becomes completely horrified after realizing that Nana knew about the trap from the very beginning. Nana calmly confirms it. The only reason Yuka survived this long was because Nana had not yet discovered her weakness. Now that she finally understands it, Nana declares that the game is over. She completely paralyzes Yuka and throws the piece of Shinji's remains into the ocean. Afterward, Nana takes the box of poison needles from Yuka and asks her whether she and Shinji were truly childhood friends, or if the entire story was a lie created because Yuka loved him. Nana explains how she figured out the truth from the story Yuka told both her and Koya earlier. Shinji never truly cared about Yuka, and they were never close at all. Nana then reveals the real truth behind the movie theater fire. Yuka herself caused the fire out of jealousy because Shinji was on a date with another girl. After Shinji died, Yuka used necromancy on him, creating the illusion of a tragic love story between them. Yuka finally admits that every word Nana said is true. Shinji knew she loved him, but he never returned those feelings. Before Yuka can continue speaking, Nana kills her. As usual, Nana immediately receives another message on her phone. The message states that Yuka's victim count reached 500,000 and confirms that the mission has been successfully completed. Later, Nana notices that Shinji's corpse has already started rotting. She heads into the forest to inspect the condition of the other corpses as well. On the way there, Nana realizes something important. Every time she skips school, another student mysteriously dies. If she returns now, people may finally start suspecting her. At that moment, she encounters a girl named Habu, who is hunting snakes. When Nana asks what she is doing, Habu explains that her ability is poison manipulation. According to her, if she stops eating reptiles, her ability will eventually disappear. Nana then asks about Habu's former friend, the girl with teleportation powers. Habu explains that they ended their friendship after she secretly stole her contact lenses. The moment Habu turns her back, Nana suddenly attacks and paralyzes her with poison. Nana promises to give her the antidote if she reveals the password to her phone. At first, Habu refuses, but after being tortured for some time, she finally gives Nana the password. Of course, Nana never planned to save her at all. Habu dies shortly afterward. Nana then cleans up all evidence, hides the body, and takes the stolen contact lenses. Afterward, Nana sneaks into the teleportation girl's room and places poison inside the water used for storing the contact lenses. While leaving, she accidentally opens the window and quickly wipes away her fingerprints. When Nana finally returns to school, Koya immediately asks where she was the previous day because 2 more students have disappeared again. Nana calmly replies that she personally witnessed Yuka dying with her own eyes. Nana tells Koya to follow her and bring Sai, Michiru, and Ijima along as well. The 5 of them gather together and head toward the cliff. Nana explains that she discovered Yuka's true ability was necromancy and that Yuka tried to kill her because of it. However, since Nana supposedly reads minds, she convinced Yuka by revealing Shinji's true feelings toward her. The others become shocked after learning that Shinji had actually been dead the entire time. Nana sadly explains that after she told Yuka about Shinji's feelings, Yuka committed suicide so she could reunite with him and live happily beside him forever. While pretending to cry, Nana says that Shinji's soul is still suffering, so the best thing they can do is cremate the body and let him rest peacefully. She then asks Koya whether he still wants to examine the corpse. Koya refuses. Nana realizes that Koya still suspects her, so she understands that she cannot let him out of her sight for even a second. Afterward, Nana leads them toward the remaining zombie corpses hidden in the forest and asks Koya again if he plans to inspect them too. Once again, he refuses, so they burn all the corpses before returning to school. During the walk back, Sai suggests informing the other students about everything happening on the island. Nana quickly rejects the idea. She claims that revealing the truth would only spread fear among everyone. She also insists that Yuka was actually innocent because the enemies of humanity were secretly controlling her. Most of the students immediately believe Nana and sympathize with her. Only Koya remains suspicious. He calmly asks everyone to think carefully for just a few minutes. He points out that Nana was always present whenever someone died. Nana was with the future-seeing boy before his death. Nana was connected to Yuka before her death. Nana was also the last person seen with Nakajima before he disappeared. Before Koya can continue, one of the students suddenly screams. The teleportation girl has been found dead inside her room. Koya immediately investigates the body and discovers that she has already been dead for nearly 2 hours. During that entire time, Nana was with the others, which seems to completely prove that the enemies of humanity were responsible for the murder. In an instant, all suspicion disappears from Nana. However, despite the evidence in front of him, Koya still refuses to fully trust her. While examining the corpse, he notices that the girl had been wearing contact lenses. He then grabs the lens case and accidentally drinks the water inside. A moment later, Koya collapses onto the ground in terrible pain as his body starts breaking apart from the inside. He realizes that the water was poisoned. This also explains why the teleportation girl died after using the contact lenses. At that moment, Nana discovers another terrifying fact. Koya's immortality makes him completely immune to poison. Koya then reveals that the victim's ability was teleportation and directly questions Nana about where she was earlier that day when she skipped school. Nana answers that she was trying to calm herself down after everything that happened. Koya immediately continues his theory. He believes that while the victim attended school, Nana used that opportunity to poison the contact lenses so the girl would die the moment she used them. This time, Nana does not even deny it. She calmly admits that every word Koya said is correct. Koya walks toward the window and tries opening it, but it refuses to move. This immediately makes him suspicious because Nana managed to open it easily earlier. Nana explains that the window opens from the right side instead of the left, which is why she could open it without trouble. At that moment, Koya realizes that it is finally time to expose some of Nana's flaws. The two begin questioning the students, and Koya learns that the teleportation girl had recently fought with her friend Habu. This is exactly what Nana wanted him to hear. Koya then asks Michiru about Habu's ability, and she reveals that Habu possessed poisonous powers. Immediately, Koya declares that Habu must be the killer. The group searches the entire school for her, but she is nowhere to be found. Nana then claims that while she was in the forest earlier, she heard Habu's voice, or more specifically, the voice of one of the enemies of humanity. Nana insists that the enemies of humanity were the ones controlling Yuka, but Koya immediately rejects the idea. According to him, the latest victim clearly died because of another human being. The group returns to the victim's room, where Koya suddenly asks Nana whether she was friends with both Cory and Habu. Nana immediately denies it, but then quickly changes her answer. Koya already understands the meaning behind her reaction. When he was poisoned earlier, he asked the victim to open the window. She managed to do it easily while he could not. This means she had already entered the room before and knew how the window worked. Realizing her mistake, Nana quickly recovers and claims that she and the victim were indeed friends. She even says that she constantly advised her not to bully the other students. Michiru suddenly interrupts the discussion and shows them Habu's phone. The last message sent to Habu by Cory arrived at exactly 3:05 p.m., and during that time Nana was with them in the forest. Koya immediately tells Michiru to stay quiet. The rest of the class then gathers around them. Koya announces that he is finally going to expose the true identity of their new class president, who is actually a serial killer. Koya explains his theory in detail. First, Nana killed Habu in the forest and stole the poisoned contact lenses from her. Afterward, she placed them inside Cory's room before returning to school as if nothing had happened. Nana asks him how he even knows that Habu is dead. Koya calmly explains that they searched for her all day, which means her corpse must still be hidden somewhere among the bodies in the forest. He also points out another important detail. Nana changed Habu's clothes so none of the students would recognize the corpse immediately. As for Cory, Koya believes Nana used Habu's phone to send her a message pretending to fix their friendship. As proof of good intentions, Nana left behind the poisoned contact lenses. Nana asks how she could possibly know Habu's phone password. Koya answers that she most likely tortured Habu until she revealed it. He then demands that Nana hand over Habu's phone immediately. Nana refuses, so Koya searches her personally. To his shock, he finds nothing at all. Nana successfully avoids being exposed once again. Inside her mind, Nana admits how dangerous the situation truly was. After sending the message, she originally wanted to throw the phone away, but that would have exposed her too easily. Instead, she used one of the corpses. As the corpse slowly decomposed, ashes from the body accidentally pressed the phone button and sent the message automatically. Nana realizes how risky the entire plan actually was. If animals or insects inside the forest had interfered with the corpse, the message could have been sent at the wrong time and ruined everything. Fortunately for her, the plan worked perfectly. Meanwhile, Koya feels like his brain is about to explode. He desperately keeps asking himself where exactly he made a mistake. Michiru then scolds Koya for accusing Nana unfairly, and insists that he apologizes. Nana instantly takes advantage of the situation and pretends to hear Habu's inner voice. According to Nana, Habu is begging everyone not to suspect one another anymore. Koya eventually agrees to a temporary truce and decides to report everything to the authorities the next morning. However, he has one condition. He plans to stay beside Cory's corpse until sunrise. Later that night, Nana secretly sits alone while holding one of the poison needles. She knows she must dispose of it before anyone finds it. At the same time, she feels relieved that Cory died from poison exactly like the future-seeing boy. Both deaths now match perfectly. As for Nakajima's missing body, Nana intentionally hid it to strengthen the story about the enemies of humanity. At that moment, Michiru approaches Nana and notices how exhausted she looks. Michiru gently suggests that Nana rest inside, but then offers something even kinder. She tells Nana to sleep there while she personally watches over her until morning. Nana accepts the offer and falls asleep. However, the moment she opens her eyes again, she finds a weapon pressed directly against her neck. Michiru is holding it. Michiru coldly asks how Nana could supposedly read minds, yet fail to notice that she wanted to kill her. Nana desperately tries to talk her way out of the situation, but Michiru has already cornered her completely. Michiru then demands to know Nana's true ability if she does not want to die. Thinking quickly, Nana lies and claims that her blood itself is poisonous. According to her, if Michiru kills her, the blood will splash onto her body and kill her too. Michiru calmly responds by saying they can simply test that theory. In a flash, Michiru knocks the weapon out of Nana's hand. Nana becomes shocked and praises Michiru for secretly training herself so well. Nana then threatens to scream for help. However, Michiru immediately points out the problem. If Nana calls for help, she will also be forced to reveal her true ability. On top of that, nobody would ever believe that gentle and innocent Michiru tried to kill her only friend. With a cold smile, Nana leaves Michiru behind, completely overwhelmed with emotion. The next morning, Michiru approaches Nana again while carrying a gift box. She tells Nana that if she can read her thoughts and correctly guess what is inside the box, then the gift will belong to her. Since the other students are nearby, Nana quickly pretends to still feel exhausted from the previous night. She keeps delaying the challenge by saying she will do it tomorrow, after class or after school. Inside her mind, Nana realizes there is no possible way for her to know what is inside the box. She decides the best option is to avoid giving the situation any attention, so nobody discovers that she is actually talentless. However, Michiru refuses to let it go. She gathers all the students together and loudly asks their class president to read her mind and reveal what is inside the box. Miraculously, Nana manages to escape the situation once again through another clever trick, and the entire class continues believing that her ability is genuine mind reading. Only Koya remains unconvinced. Nana then realizes that she failed badly the previous night, meaning she cannot afford to repeat the same mistake again. At sunset, the two girls meet alone once more. Suddenly, Nana asks where the real Michiru is. She explains that if the person standing before her were truly Michiru, she would have immediately noticed the wound on Nana's hand. The girl becomes shocked for a moment before laughing and revealing her true face. The person is actually a boy named Jin. Nana immediately becomes terrified and asks who he really is. Jin tells her she has probably never heard of him before. Nana then demands to know where the real Michiru is. Jin explains that in order to perfectly copy Michiru's appearance, he had to put her to sleep using sleeping pills. However, he assures Nana that Michiru is completely unharmed. Nana desperately tries extracting information from him, or at least understanding who he really is, but Jin quickly notices what she is doing. He warns her not to play games with him because he already possesses plenty of evidence against her, including the poisoned needles. However, Jin insists that he does not want to fight her. Instead, he wants to cooperate. As proof of his sincerity, Jin finally reveals his own past. He explains that he was already living on the island 5 years ago. Nana immediately realizes something horrifying. The corpses Yuka controlled earlier were actually Jin's old classmates. Jin confirms this. Nana then asks why he never killed her, despite knowing the truth. Jin calmly explains that Nana unknowingly saved him multiple times. Confused, Nana asks when that ever happened. Jin reminds her about the cat inside the cabin. His real ability is transformation. At that point, Nana realizes Jin has already revealed nearly all of his secrets, yet she still refuses to expose her own truth so easily. Meanwhile, Koya continues investigating the poison involved in Cory's death. After studying it carefully, he begins wondering whether Habu accidentally poisoned her friend while experimenting with toxic plants, or if Nana was actually responsible for everything. Back in the cave, Jin continues telling his story. 5 years earlier, all of them were sent to the island for training. However, arguments about who was the strongest student eventually split the class into two groups, and the students started slaughtering one another. According to Jin, a twisted idea was planted into their minds, causing the entire tragedy. Days passed, then weeks, and after more than 2 months, every teacher finally abandoned the island and fled. Some gifted students with abilities like flight chased after them immediately. Jin wanted to follow too, but he stopped after hearing gunfire waiting for them at the shore. As time passed and the situation became hopeless, Jin used his transformation ability and returned home to meet his grandmother. She was shocked because the government had already officially declared him dead. However, before he could explain the truth about the island, he was attacked again, forcing him to return and hide there once more. Eventually, another group of gifted students was sent to the island without knowing anything about the massacre that happened before them. Jin then asks the most important question of all: who is trying to wipe out every gifted person on the island? Nana gives him no answer. Instead, she warns him not to start another war. Jin calmly replies that he is not evil. He only wants Nana to cooperate with him. However, if she refuses, he will be forced to kill the serial killer responsible for murdering his younger classmates. Suddenly, Jin collapses onto the ground. Nana secretly poisoned him. Before dying, Jin desperately asks what the organization gains from killing all of them, but Nana gives him no answer. As Jin dies, Nana finally takes out her phone to send a mission report. However, something shocking suddenly happens. Koya grabs the phone from her hand and says, "Checkmate." But it is not actually Koya. The figure instantly transforms into Sai, then into Michiru, then into Ijima. The horrifying truth is finally revealed. Jin's ability is not simple transformation. He can also copy the abilities of the people whose forms he takes. Nana immediately tries to escape, but Jin quickly attacks her with a fireball that slams her to the ground and leaves her unable to move. Holding the phone, Jin notices the organization's logo on it and remembers seeing the same symbol 5 years ago. At that moment, Jin finally understands everything. Nana belongs to an organization created specifically to exterminate people with supernatural abilities. Jin then asks Nana if she is truly willing to kill him just to keep the organization's secrets hidden. However, instead of killing her, Jin tells Nana that he will let her leave alive, but only after she tells him the entire truth. Nana finally agrees to tell Jin something about herself. She explains that her family originally consisted of 4 people. One day, her older brother suddenly disappeared, and later her father died as well. According to her, both of them were killed by the enemies of humanity. She asks him to imagine how terrifying it was for a little girl to watch both of her parents die right before her eyes. From that moment onward, she became completely alone in the world. Before Nana loses consciousness, Jin gives her one final warning. He says that a massive disaster will eventually consume the entire island because none of the gifted children were ever taught the difference between right and wrong. Once the bodies start appearing, chaos will spread everywhere. Jin also warns her to stay careful because she might not be the only serial killer currently living on the island. When Nana wakes up, she finds herself lying on a bed beside the real Michiru. Michiru tells her that the enemies of humanity attacked her. From Michiru's words, Nana indirectly realizes that Jin was the one who carried her back after she fainted. Still remembering Jin's warning, Nana suddenly recalls the horrifying deaths of her parents. Something strange happens inside her mind. Despite all these years passing, she never truly remembered them before. A flashback appears, showing young Nana running in terror while being chased by the enemies of humanity. Crying desperately, she begs for help, but by that point, it was already too late. Later, during the funeral for the 3 dead students, Koya speaks with the teacher while Nana remains lost inside her own thoughts. She slowly realizes the horrifying truth that shakes her completely. Her parents may have died because she forgot to close the window. Trying to suppress the painful memories, Nana forces herself to focus only on the important things. Every gifted student who stood in her way has already disappeared. However, Jin suddenly appears again and reminds her that one obstacle still remains. Nana immediately demands to know why he is there and asks why he never used Michiru's healing ability to heal himself earlier. Jin jokingly calls her an idiot for worrying about someone like him. Nana then demands that he return her phone. Jin refuses unless she first tells him who she truly is. Before Nana can answer, Michiru knocks on the door and says she wants to continue their earlier conversation. At that moment, Jin is still secretly hiding nearby in the form of a cat. Michiru explains that she cannot believe someone as cheerful as Nana carries such a tragic past. Nana finally begins telling her the full story. As a child, Nana loved playing strategy games like chess, shogi, and Go. She became so absorbed in those games that she completely lost track of time. One day, she became hungry and realized nobody was home, so she climbed out through her bedroom window to buy chocolate. According to Nana, that single decision became the greatest mistake of her entire life. The following morning, instead of smelling breakfast, she found her parents lying dead in pools of blood. Nana blames herself completely. She believes that if she had simply listened to her parents, cleaned her room and closed the window properly, the thief would never have entered the house and killed them. Before Nana can continue, Michiru gently tells her that none of it was her fault. Those simple words instantly remove a huge weight from Nana's heart. The next morning, Koya suddenly enters Nana's room without warning and asks where she spent the entire night. Nana immediately claims she never left her room and points toward Michiru as proof. Michiru confirms every word Nana says. Koya then brings both of them to another student's room, where they discover another horrifying scene. A dead body lies before them. At that moment, Nana realizes that Jin may have been right. She might not actually be the only killer on the island. The victim's name is Ryo, and the murder was incredibly brutal. The first person suspected is one of the students whose room is located beside the victim's. However, the boy immediately denies everything and insists that he is terrified of blood. He also claims that he spent the previous night talking with the other 3 students about the importance of self-improvement videos. Koya decides to temporarily ignore that issue, and instead asks the 3 students to explain their abilities first. One of them possesses voice-changing powers. The next student, however, has an especially strange ability. While they are sitting together, they suddenly begin hearing a mysterious sound. One of the students explains that his ability allows his spirit to leave his body. Another student reveals that his power is magnetism, giving him the ability to control sharp metal objects from a distance. However, the student who becomes the main suspect is Fuko, the victim's girlfriend, and also the first person who discovered the body. Koya immediately asks her to demonstrate her ability. She refuses at first and explains that she cannot safely use it inside the room because it could injure the other students. The group heads outside, and Koya boldly tells her to use her full power directly against him. Fuko warns him that he could die, but Koya calmly reminds her that he is immortal. Fuko prepares herself and begins gathering an enormous amount of compressed air pressure before releasing it all at once. The devastating attack instantly smashes Koya into the ground and leaves the area covered in blood. Of course, Koya casually stands back up as if nothing happened. After recovering, he asks Fuko why she never used her ability inside the victim's room. Fuko explains that her power only works properly in wide open spaces where she can freely compress the surrounding air. At that exact moment, both Koya and Nana suddenly remember the open window near Ryo's corpse. While the two continue talking calmly on the surface, both of them are actually lost deep in thought. Soon afterward, Koya leaves with the teacher to contact the authorities again, while Nana secretly returns to the crime scene searching for clues. Unfortunately, she finds nothing useful. Later, Nana notices that something feels strange about Michiru. She begins wondering whether Michiru discovered something while sleeping in her room earlier, or if she is simply exhausted from lack of sleep and from witnessing so many corpses. To remove her doubts, Nana asks what is wrong. Michiru replies that she has been thinking about what they will do after finally defeating the enemies of humanity. Michiru says that her dream is to become a doctor just like her parents. She then asks Nana about her own future plans. Nana casually replies that she wants to attend university and make more friends. Michiru happily suggests that after they leave the island, Nana should come live with her because her parents would definitely not mind. The moment Nana hears that, her expression changes completely. She coldly reminds Michiru that her parents were murdered in a horrifying way and asks if she is somehow bragging about still having her own parents alive. The hidden hatred inside Nana suddenly bursts out before she quickly returns to her room. Once alone, Nana immediately regrets losing control of her emotions. However, she still feels that Michiru acted strangely throughout the entire day, which is what made her so irritated. At that moment, the teacher arrives and gives Nana a replacement school uniform because her old one was ruined. He explains that Michiru was the one who requested it for her. Suddenly, Nana remembers the bottle of poison she secretly hid inside the uniform pocket. Everything immediately becomes clear. Michiru now possesses the poison, meaning Nana could be in serious danger. Things become even worse when Koya suddenly appears and asks whether she and Michiru had a fight because Michiru apparently wanted to tell him something, but changed her mind. Nana narrowly escapes suspicion once again. Koya then tells her he is going to speak with Fuko and asks her to come along. Before leaving, the teacher informs them that after contacting the authorities, someone has finally been sent to the island. The group later questions Fuko about her whereabouts the previous night. She explains that she spent the entire night in her room with one of her friends. As for Ryo, she says he always followed a strict routine. He slept early every night and woke up in the morning to train because he wanted to lose weight. While crying heavily, Fuko begs them to avenge his death. Koya tells her they will discuss that matter later. While walking back, Nana suddenly tells Koya that Fuko is lying. Immediately after saying it, she regrets speaking too quickly and realizes she must now create a logical explanation to avoid suspicion. Nana carefully explains her reasoning. The funeral ended at exactly 7 p.m., and afterward Ijima spent 5 hours teaching the students. If the murder happened during that time, somebody would have definitely heard something. This means Ryo most likely died after 1 a.m. As for Fuko, she supposedly stayed beside her friend for the entire night. Koya then asks Nana why she excluded the possibility that Ryo died earlier during Ijima's speech. Nana explains that dead insects were discovered at the crime scene. Since Ryo hated insects so much, he would naturally close the window before going to sleep. Nana continues explaining that the room's light was still turned on, which means Ryo died before going to sleep. Koya suggests that maybe Ryo noticed the killer and tried escaping through the window, but Nana immediately rejects that idea. She reminds him that Ryo's actual ability was shrinking his body, meaning he could have escaped easily without even opening the window or turning on the lights. In other words, the killer could not have murdered Ryo without secretly entering the room first. That makes Fuko the most likely culprit. Koya asks if Nana forgot how dangerous Fuko's ability is. Nana then adds another important point. Ryo's body was cut apart, which explains why the other students never heard any screams or noises during the murder. Koya immediately decides to corner Fuko using all the evidence they gathered. Nana simply wishes him good luck before leaving. Afterward, Nana heads toward Michiru's room. Michiru is currently taking a bath, so Nana secretly searches the room for the poison bottle. However, she cannot find it anywhere. Eventually, Nana becomes frustrated and decides that if Michiru refuses to answer her questions directly, then she will have no choice but to kill her. But for the first time, Nana begins developing genuine feelings towards someone. This becomes completely clear after she discovers Michiru's diary. Inside it, Michiru wrote down every single precious moment she spent together with Nana. At that moment, Nana's resolve to eliminate her begins to disappear. Suddenly, Jin appears out of nowhere and asks if she is searching for this. He hands Nana both the poison bottle and her phone before joking that he truly wants to meet the person who trained her to become such a skilled killer. Jin then casually mentions that Michiru has been inside the bathroom for a very long time. Nana immediately rushes toward the bathroom and is horrified to discover that Michiru has collapsed unconscious. Nana realizes that if she leaves Michiru in that condition until morning, she will probably die, solving two problems at once. However, as expected, Nana's feelings toward Michiru are completely genuine now. She carries her friend back to bed and notices that Michiru is struggling to breathe while suffering from a dangerously high fever. Nana stands there completely lost about what to do. Her only real friend is dying right in front of her while her mind is drowning in confusion. After a long internal struggle, Nana finally goes to the teacher and desperately asks for medicine. Unfortunately, the school doctor already left the island, and there is nobody else available who understands treatment properly. Nana begins blaming herself again before suddenly remembering Koya. She immediately runs toward him, but he is currently busy examining Ryo's corpse. Even so, Koya still gives her the medical supplies she needs. Nana rushes away again and desperately gathers sugar and salt so she can prepare a glucose solution for Michiru. After a great deal of effort, she finally gives her the treatment. Sometime later, Koya visits the room to check on Michiru, but he cannot determine exactly what illness she has. What catches his attention instead is how unusually messy the room is. When he asks about it, Nana gives an explanation that sounds completely unnatural. Koya briefly remembers that Michiru previously wanted to tell him something important about Nana, but he decides not to focus on it for now. Instead, Koya continues investigating the rooms of the 3 suspicious students. One of the boys mentions something strange. While walking to school earlier, he discovered several dead cats, dogs, and rabbits scattered throughout the forest. He wonders if one of the students could be responsible, though he personally doubts it. Koya quietly acknowledges the information in an unsettling manner. Meanwhile, Michiru's condition finally stabilizes, greatly relieving Nana. At that moment, Fuko arrives and offers to take care of Michiru instead, because Nana looks completely exhausted. Nana immediately refuses. Fuko gently tells her that she is probably still emotionally shaken after losing her boyfriend. Nana silently agrees before Fuko eventually leaves. After staying awake beside her for 2 entire days, Michiru finally regains consciousness. She becomes incredibly happy after learning that Nana personally cared for her the entire time she was unconscious. Michiru then begins telling Nana everything that happened during her fever, including how Nana treated her and even how she asked Koya for medicine to save her. While talking, Michiru suddenly notices the wound on Nana's hand and tries to heal it. However, Nana harshly stops her and says that a small injury like that will naturally heal with time, unlike someone's lifespan which can never be restored once lost. Michiru simply laughs, and the two continue joking together happily. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Jin discovers a dead rabbit. He immediately realizes that the killer responsible is still active. Angrily, he warns the murderer that he already tolerated enough, and promises that if he sees another dead creature again, whether human or animal, he will show no mercy. At the same time, Jin admits that he attempted to hack Nana's phone several times, but failed every single time. His thoughts then shift toward the mysterious authorities behind everything as an important meeting begins elsewhere. The authorities continue praising Nana's performance, and the person being sent to the island turns out to be her own mentor. Meanwhile, Nana cooks food for Michiru and watches her happily eat it. However, after finishing, Nana starts blaming herself for wasting so much time caring about a girl she will eventually have to kill anyway. She even wonders what her mentor would think if he saw her acting like this. At the same time, Koya continues investigating non-stop, like a machine that never sleeps or calms down until it finds the truth. While Nana and Michiru are talking together, Nana suddenly asks how Michiru managed to remain such a kind person despite everything she experienced. Michiru explains that it was all thanks to a girl named Hitomi who saved her life 3 years ago before she arrived on the island. Back then, one of Michiru's classmates injured his leg, so she used her healing ability to save him. Instead of thanking her, all the other students became terrified of her and started calling her a monster. Everything changed when Michiru healed an injured dog one day. Watching the dog happily run around her made Michiru extremely happy, but what affected her the most was Hitomi sincerely thanking her for saving the animal. From that moment onward, the two became inseparable best friends. Michiru explains that the students who bullied her would completely change whenever Hitomi appeared beside her. Normally, Hitomi rarely attended school, but during the time they became friends, she started coming almost every day just to protect Michiru from the bullies. As time passed, Hitomi eventually told Michiru that her mother had been sick for several days and asked whether her healing power could cure her. Unfortunately, Michiru explained that her ability only works on injuries and cannot heal illnesses. Hitomi simply smiled and told her not to feel bad because countless people around the world still needed her help. She encouraged Michiru to keep believing in herself. From that moment on, Michiru worked tirelessly at hospitals day and night until one day she suddenly collapsed from exhaustion. That was when she discovered the dangerous side effects of her healing ability. The shocking part was that Hitomi was there beside her in the hospital. Michiru then learned that Hitomi had been suffering from cancer the entire time. Even though too much physical movement worsened her condition, she still continued coming to school every day just to protect Michiru from being bullied. After fighting the disease for 2 long years, Hitomi finally passed away. At that moment, Michiru realized that her healing power was ultimately useless. However, she still decided to follow Hitomi's final wish and continue doing her best no matter what happened. Nana becomes deeply affected by Michiru's story. She quietly leaves the room and checks her phone, only to receive another message showing Michiru's victim count at 150,000. Nana immediately collapses to the floor, completely unable to understand what is truly right or wrong anymore. At that moment, painful memories from Nana's past return once again. She remembers the adoptive family that treated her horribly and constantly blamed her for the deaths of her parents. Even after moving somewhere else, the cruel treatment toward her never changed at all. Suddenly, Michiru interrupts Nana's dark thoughts and enters the room. She tells Nana that after hearing her story, she kept thinking about it carefully. Michiru asks whether after climbing out the window that night, Nana may have accidentally stepped on something or left the room messy without remembering it because of the trauma. Nana says she does not think so because when she woke up, the room looked completely clean. Michiru immediately realizes something important. She explains that Nana's parents must have returned home during the night while Nana was asleep and cleaned the room themselves. That means Nana was never responsible for their deaths in the first place. Nana still insists that maybe she accidentally stepped on something but simply forgot because of the shock. Michiru continues comforting her by pointing out something else. If Nana's parents entered the room and cleaned everything without closing the window afterward, then the open window was never Nana's fault either. Nana still refuses to accept it and says her parents died because of her. At that moment, Michiru suddenly shouts at her. She firmly tells Nana that she was only an innocent child playing like any other kid and that she must stop blaming herself forever. Michiru then gently tells her that whenever those painful memories return and become too difficult to handle, she should come directly to her. She promises to comfort her as her only true friend. For the first time, Nana genuinely accepts every word someone tells her. She begins wondering whether Michiru spent all this time secretly trying to heal her emotional wounds. Nana then quietly concludes that someone like her does not deserve to be Michiru's friend at all. The following morning, supplies finally arrive on the island. By this point, Nana has changed so much that she even starts thinking about buying a gift for Michiru. Suddenly, Koya appears behind her like a ghost and reminds her that they still have not identified the real killer. He also points out that ever since the latest murder, animals across the island have started dying mysteriously. Nana calmly tells him that she understands his frustration, but if they make another wrong decision, they could lose yet another friend. At sunset, the two girls exchange the gifts they bought for each other. Later, Nana returns to her room while thinking deeply about the mission she was originally sent to complete. At that moment, Jin suddenly appears and urgently tells her that she must go save Michiru immediately because she secretly went to meet someone deep inside the forest. Nana asks how he knows that. Jin explains that he transformed into Ijima earlier and learned that Michiru headed toward the cabin near the beach. He warns Nana that if she moves now, she might still be able to save her in time. Meanwhile, Koya secretly enters Fuko's room and begins searching through it until he finally discovers the training equipment hidden inside. The blood-covered training equipment completely confirms Kyoya's suspicions. Fuko is undeniably the murderer. Meanwhile, Nana runs toward her only friend with everything she has, while desperately thinking about who the real killer could be. However, she quickly realizes that she is completely talentless, so even if she arrives in time, she may not be able to do anything at all. The only person capable of understanding the situation and helping her is Koya. Meanwhile, Michiru stands alone inside the forest waiting for the person who called her there. Suddenly, she gets slashed across the face, and the attacker begins speaking in an extremely disturbing and twisted way. Terrified beyond belief, Michiru falls to the ground while waiting for the knife that will finally kill her. At the same time, Nana runs as fast as she can, but suddenly her mentor calls her. The moment she answers, she immediately stands straight like a soldier and reports that everything is under control. However, her mentor notices something strange in her voice and warns her not to forget the mission she was sent to complete. Nana instantly replies that her mission is the extermination of the gifted students. The call ends, and at that moment, Nana completely returns to the cold-hearted state she had when she first arrived on the island. Back in the forest, Michiru desperately tries escaping like a mad person, but she repeatedly falls while the killer continues mentally torturing her until she completely breaks down. Just before the attacker moves in to finish her off, a knife suddenly flies through the air. To everyone's shock, Nana appears and protects Michiru. The attacker becomes confused because Nana herself was the one who originally claimed that all the gifted students needed to die. Nana apologizes to Michiru for arriving late before exposing the killer's identity. She reveals that the murderer possesses the ability to leave his body and that while he was supposedly sitting beside Iijima earlier, he secretly used his spirit form to murder Ryo. The killer applauds Nana for figuring out the truth so quickly, but since she uncovered his secret, he declares that her punishment is death. However, before killing Nana, he still wants to finish off his first victim, Michiru. Nana immediately stands in front of Michiru and declares that he will only reach her over Nana's dead body. A brutal fight begins as Nana continuously gets stabbed while trying to buy time for Michiru to escape. Through tears, Nana desperately begs her to run away immediately. The moment the killer attempts to slash Nana's throat, she barely blocks the attack by grabbing the blade with her own hands. She then tells Michiru that this is her only chance to escape, and insists that she already has a plan. However, Michiru refuses to abandon her. Instead, she turns around and finally speaks honestly from the bottom of her heart. Her words completely shake Nana emotionally, and Michiru bursts into tears before finally running away. As Nana slowly begins losing consciousness, she confesses to the killer that she originally planned to manipulate him into murdering every gifted student on the island for her. However, Michiru completely destroyed that plan. The killer coldly prepares to finish her off, but suddenly he collapses to the ground, unable to move. Koya finally arrives. Earlier, Nana secretly informed him about everything she discovered, allowing him to track down the real murderer. The killer is now completely at Koya's mercy. Even though Nana's strategy ultimately succeeded, it is already too late for her. She lies on the ground drowning in her own blood, while the twisted beliefs forced into her since childhood continue controlling her final thoughts. Then suddenly, Michiru returns. She kneels beside Nana and declares that she refuses to let her die. Ignoring the danger completely, Michiru activates her healing ability with every ounce of strength she has left. Nana desperately tries to stop her because using that much power could kill Michiru, but Nana's voice is already too weak to even come out properly. A massive wave of energy spreads across the island as Michiru sacrifices her own life force to heal Nana completely. Moments later, Nana slowly opens her eyes and discovers the horrifying truth. Her only real friend is dead. Nana immediately embraces Michiru's lifeless body and breaks down crying. Every single moment they shared together flashes through her mind. Every happy memory, every laugh, every emotional moment, and every time Michiru stood beside her plays before her eyes while she continues crying uncontrollably. That moment changes Nana's life completely forever.